Hollywood has never produced another Cary Grant. Debate it if you want, but when it comes to pure charm, razor-sharp timing, and that sneaky vulnerability beneath a perfect suit, everyone else is just playing catch-up. But here's the real shocker. Most people think they've seen Cary Grant, but they've barely scratched the surface. How well do you actually know the man behind the myth? Stick around, because some of his best roles aren't what you'd expect, and you might be missing the performance of a lifetime. Notorious, 1946. Let's start with a movie so smooth and dangerous. It's basically Hollywood's answer to fine wine, bold, dark, and a little intoxicating. Notorious isn't just a spy thriller, it's a masterclass in tension and sexual chemistry. Picture Cary Grant, all haunted eyes and clipped lines, as Devlin, the government agent who has to send the woman he loves, the breathtaking Ingrid Bergman, straight into the arms of another man. And not just any man, but a Nazi. It's a brutal emotional setup, and Grant plays it with a sharpness you rarely see in Golden Age leading men. He's icy, hurt, and barely keeping it together, and that's the magic. You're used to Grant's quips and breezy confidence, but here, every smile feels like a mask that might slip at any second. There's an iconic tracking shot, from a grand staircase to a tiny key in Bergman's hand, that's become legend for a reason. And don't even get me started on the suspense. Hitchcock is pulling every string, but it's Grant who keeps your nerves shredded. What makes Notorious legendary isn't just the plotting or the style, but the way Grant's performance simmers just under boiling point. He's both the dream and the danger. If you want to see Cary Grant's full range, you start here. The ending? Still one of the most haunting walkouts in film history. Don't blink, or you'll miss the moment he changes from ice to heartbreak, all in a single breath. North by Northwest, 1959. Now, let's talk about the coolest case of mistaken identity ever committed to film. North by Northwest doesn't just raise the bar for thrillers, it catapults it over Mount Rushmore. And yes, that's a literal reference. Cary Grant is Roger Thornhill, a suave ad man who stumbles into an international conspiracy because someone thinks he's a spy. The catch? He has zero idea what's going on, but refuses to stop running or flirting until he figures it out. This is Grant at his absolute slickest. Pressed suit, raised eyebrow, and that trademark smirk even when a crop-dusting plane is trying to mow him down. The action never lets up. The suspense is relentless. But here's the kicker. North by Northwest is laugh-out-loud funny. Hitchcock knows exactly how ridiculous the situation is, and so does Grant. There's an edge to every wisecrack, a wink in every desperate escape. Whether he's scrambling across a cornfield or dangling off the faces of presidents, Grant makes it all look like a bad day at the office, with a martini waiting at the end. And then there's Ava Marie Saint. As mysterious as she is, magnetic, and the chemistry is pure sizzle. But what makes this a must-watch isn't just the spectacle, it's Grant's way of making you root for a guy who's in over his head, yet never quite out of his depth. It's glamorous, relentless, and unashamedly fun. A chase movie where every twist is just another excuse for Grant to turn chaos into charisma. Charade, 1963. How many movies get called the best Hitchcock film Hitchcock never made? Only one, Charade. If you want the ultimate blend of murder, romance, and screwball comedy served Parisian style, this is it. Cary Grant, older but somehow cooler than ever, plays the mysterious Peter Joshua, or is it Brian Cruikshank, or Adam Canfield? Even he keeps changing his name. Audrey Hepburn, luminous and sharper than a diamond, is the widow who can't figure out if Grant is there to help her or kill her. The plot is a roller coaster, hidden fortune, secret identities, bodies piling up, and a parade of villains that range from bumbling to downright terrifying. But Grant navigates it all with the sort of breezy, self-aware humor that makes every twist feel like a game. There's a scene on a staircase, full of rapid-fire wit and double meaning that should be studied in every film class. What really makes Charade pop isn't just the plot gymnastics, but the banter. Grant and Hepburn spark like firecrackers. Their chemistry practically peels the paint off the walls. You get everything. Dry one-liners, vulnerable moments, even some self-deprecating jokes about Grant's age. He insisted on adding them to make the romance believable. In a genre that usually chooses either tension or comedy, Charade laughs at the idea of compromise and gives you both full throttle. This isn't just a must-watch for Grant fans, it's the kind of film that makes you fall back in love with old Hollywood, no matter how many times you've seen it. To Catch a Thief, 1955. Forget what you know about cool. Cary Grant on the French Riviera, trading quips and glances with Grace Kelly, pretty much redefined it for the ages. To Catch a Thief is one of those rare films that feels like a vacation and a thriller all at once. Grant plays John Roby, a retired cat burglar suspected of a new string of high-class jewel thefts. But is he the culprit, or the only one who can stop the real thief? Director Alfred Hitchcock uses every inch of color and sunlight to make this movie shimmer. Every frame is so stylish it hurts. But even more dazzling than the view is the dance between Grant and Kelly, equal parts seduction, suspicion, and banter. There's a fireworks scene so loaded with subtext that you'll never look at pyrotechnics the same way again. But here's the fun part. Grant's Roby is older, maybe a little weary, but he's still 2 steps ahead of everyone else, except, perhaps, Kelly's dangerously clever heiress. This isn't just about outsmarting the police. It's about outcharming the most glamorous woman in the world and trying not to get caught in every sense. To Catch a Thief is less about plot mechanics and more about style, chemistry, and that singular Grant ability to make danger look like the world's suavest party trick. It's light on its feet, gorgeous to look at, and when it comes to pure escapism, it's the gold standard. If you need proof that Cary Grant could make even crime seem like the world's most elegant pastime, look no further. The Philadelphia Story, 1940. Ever wanted to crash the ultimate high society wedding and watch the sparks fly? That's basically the premise of The Philadelphia Story, and trust me, it's even juicier than it sounds. Cary Grant, James Stewart, and Katharine Hepburn, 3 screen legends, 1 perfectly dysfunctional love triangle, and more sharp dialogue than you'll find in a month of modern rom-coms. Grant plays C.K. Dexter Haven, the ex-husband who shows up just in time to throw his former wife's fancy new nuptials into chaos. He's equal parts smug and sympathetic, with a wit so dry it could drain a swimming pool. Right from the infamous opening scene, you'll never look at golf clubs the same way. Grant sets the tone. This is a battle of intellects, hearts, and egos, and he's not backing down. The chemistry with Hepburn is electric, fiery, biting, but always rooted in something real. Stewart, as the outsider reporter, brings his own brand of awkward charm, but it's Grant who grounds the whole film. He makes C.K. Dexter Haven more than just a spoiled rich guy. He's vulnerable, wounded, and honestly kind of irresistible. But what elevates The Philadelphia Story isn't just the jokes or the slapstick. It's the way the film dances around big themes: class, forgiveness, the messy business of second chances, without ever feeling heavy-handed. By the time the last vows are exchanged, you're not just rooting for love. You're rooting for everyone to become the best version of themselves. It's high society chaos, sure, but with Grant leading the way, it's also pure cinematic joy. An Affair to Remember, 1957. You want romance? An Affair to Remember is the movie that rewired an entire generation's idea of love and heartbreak. It's been spoofed, copied, and paid tribute to in everything from Sleepless in Seattle to real-life wedding vows. But here's the thing, nothing hits like the original, and that's mostly down to Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr. Their chemistry is so electric, it's almost dangerous. Grant plays Nicky Ferrante, a famous playboy who meets Kerr's Terry McKay on a transatlantic cruise. Sparks fly, wisecracks zing, but there's a melancholy undercurrent. Both are already attached to someone else. So they make a pact. If they're really meant to be, they'll meet at the top of the Empire State Building in 6 months. What follows is both swoon-worthy and heartbreaking, with a twist that's as gutting as it is poetic. Grant dials back his usual swagger here, playing Nicky with a tenderness and vulnerability that's downright disarming. By the time the film reaches its legendary finale, Grant is all raw emotion, no tricks, just truth. The story might seem simple, but An Affair to Remember is a masterclass in making you believe in fate, in timing, in the kind of love that survives anything. Don't say I didn't warn you. By the final scene, you'll be reaching for tissues, and maybe even calling someone you haven't talked to in years. Arsenic and Old Lace, 1944. Ready for Cary Grant Unleashed? Arsenic and Old Lace is him at his most manic, and it's glorious. Picture this. A drama critic named Mortimer Brewster, aka Grant, just got married, and life should be perfect. Instead, he discovers his beloved maiden aunts are serial killers, poisoning lonely old men and burying them in the basement, all with the innocent cheerfulness of baking cookies. It's one of the darkest comedies ever to come out of the Golden Age, and director Frank Capra lets Grant go absolutely wild. He stammers, shouts, double takes, and delivers some of the funniest physical comedy of his career. If you ever doubted Grant's range, just watch him ricochet between horror, hilarity, and exasperation, sometimes in the same breath. The supporting cast is a dream, but make no mistake, this is Grant's show. He transforms Mortimer's descent into madness into a comedy clinic, turning even the wildest plot twists into punchlines. There's a kind of joyful lunacy here, a reminder that sometimes the only way to deal with family chaos is to laugh until you cry. Arsenic and Old Lace is proof that Grant wasn't just the king of romance or suspense, he could deliver a comedic meltdown for the ages and make you root for him every unhinged step of the way. Bringing Up Baby, 1938. Imagine Cary Grant in glasses, a tweed suit, and perpetual panic. Welcome to Bringing Up Baby. This is the screwball comedy that invented the phrase, comedy of errors, and then dialed it to 11. Grant plays David Huxley, a straight-laced paleontologist whose life gets upended by the hurricane that is Katharine Hepburn's Susan Vance, and her pet leopard, Baby. The film is chaos from start to finish. 1 minute David's searching for a lost dinosaur bone. The next he's chasing a big cat across the Connecticut countryside, dodging police and socialites. Grant, ever the master of timing, manages to look completely out of his depth, but never loses his charm. Every pratfall, stammer, and wide-eyed look is comedy gold. The chemistry between Grant and Hepburn is pure, caffeinated magic. You can see them pushing each other to be funnier, faster, and more outrageous with every scene. Bringing Up Baby didn't set the box office on fire when it first came out, but it's since become the template for every odd couple romantic comedy. What sets this film apart? It's the controlled chaos, the sense that anything, literally anything, could happen next. Grant is both the butt of the joke and the anchor, holding the insanity together with his uncanny gift for physical comedy. You want to see how funny, smart, and enduring classic Hollywood can be? Start here. His Girl Friday, 1940. You think you've heard fast talking before? His Girl Friday leaves every wannabe snappy dialogue in the dust. Cary Grant is Walter Burns, a newspaper editor who'll do anything, to win back his ace reporter ex-wife, played by the unstoppable Rosalind Russell. The setup is classic. Russell wants out of the news game and into a sensible new marriage, but Grant has one last story and one last scheme up his sleeve. Director Howard Hawks turned what could have been a standard romantic comedy into a rapid-fire masterpiece. The lines fly so fast you'll miss jokes if you blink. Grant is at his sly, manipulative best, juggling charm, sarcasm, and real emotion. The fun isn't just in the banter, it's in the power struggle, as Grant's Walter tries every trick in the book to keep Russell's Hildy hooked on the rush of breaking news, and, let's be real, on him. The movie is both a love letter and a roast to the chaos of journalism, part newsroom satire, part battle of the sexes, and all attitude. Grant balances the ridiculous and the heartfelt, proving he can be both the villain and the hero, sometimes in the same sentence. His Girl Friday is more than a rom-com. It's a verbal boxing match with heart, and Cary Grant walks away with the title every single time. Penny Serenade, 1941. If you only know Cary Grant as the cool charmer, Penny Serenade will flip your expectations upside down. Here, Grant plays Roger Adams, a man whose dreams of a perfect family get battered by fate at every turn. Alongside Irene Dunne, he navigates marriage, heartbreak, and the struggle to adopt a child, with every stage of their relationship marked by the songs that defined their years together. This isn't a glossy romance or a light-hearted comedy. It's a deeply emotional story about love that endures, even when life isn't fair. Grant peels away the suave facade, delivering a performance so raw and authentic that it earned him an Oscar nomination. There's one particular scene, Roger's desperate plea to an adoption judge, that still gets cited as one of the most powerful moments in classic Hollywood. Watch it and try not to feel your heart in your throat. What makes Penny Serenade stand out is its honesty. Life doesn't go according to plan, and sometimes love means picking up the pieces again and again. Grant's ability to convey quiet resilience, regret, and hope gives the film a grounding warmth. It's a must-watch not just for Grant fans, but for anyone who wants to see the real depth of what a leading man can do. Keep tissues close. You're going to need them. My Favorite Wife, 1940. Ever thought your love life was complicated? Cary Grant's got you beat in My Favorite Wife, a rom-com so deliciously tangled, it practically invented the genre's back-from-the-dead trope. Grant stars as Nick Arden, who's just remarried after his wife Ellen aka Irene Dunne was lost at sea 7 years earlier, only to have Ellen stroll back into his life, alive, gorgeous, and ready to claim her spot. The chaos that follows is pure screwball gold. Grant's reactions, confusion, joy, dread, jealousy are a comedy masterclass. There's a particularly hilarious thread. Not only was Ellen stranded, she had company, a strapping survivor, Randolph Scott, whose presence drives Nick wild with insecurity. What's a newlywed to do when your ex-widow turns up with baggage? Director Garson Kanin keeps things moving at a brisk clip, and Dunne matches Grant beat for beat in the witty repartee. The film dances right up to the edge of farce, then pulls back for moments of genuine heart. It's as much about forgiveness and starting over as it is about mistaken identities and zany love triangles. The genius of My Favorite Wife is that it never takes itself too seriously, but it never treats its characters like punchlines either. Grant, caught between two women and his own pride, keeps the laughs and the humanity flowing. If you want a rom-com blueprint, look no further. The Bishop's Wife, 1947. Want to see Cary Grant play an angel? Not a halo-wearing cliché, but a sly, elegant, almost too charming visitor who shakes up everyone's lives? The Bishop's Wife delivers that and more. Grant is Dudley, the heavenly helper sent to guide a stressed-out Bishop David Niven and his neglected wife, Loretta Young, through a crisis of faith, marriage, and priorities. But here's the twist. Dudley isn't your average do-gooder. Grant plays him with a mischievous glint, turning miracles into casual acts and flirting just enough to make the bishop sweat. He orchestrates Christmas miracles, smooths over old wounds, and teaches everyone, including the audience, a thing or two about gratitude and paying attention to what truly matters. The real heart of the film is Grant's interplay with Young and Niven. Every scene sparkles with wit and warmth, even as it tugs at deeper questions about love, ambition, and what we wish for. Plus, there's plenty of holiday charm, skating scenes, angelic cocktails, and even a little Christmas magic. The Bishop's Wife endures because it's about more than miracles. It's about ordinary people finding their way back to each other. Grant's Dudley is irresistible, and his final bittersweet exit might just make you believe in second chances and secret guardians. Watch it for the holiday glow, but don't be surprised if you return for the wisdom and the warmth. Suspicion, 1941. Imagine marrying Cary Grant and then suspecting he might be plotting to kill you. That's the exquisite anxiety Hitchcock serves up in Suspicion. Joan Fontaine stars as Lena, the shy heiress swept off her feet by Grant's Johnny, a man so charming you almost miss the red flags fluttering behind every smile. What makes this film sizzle isn't just the thriller mechanics, it's the way Grant weaponizes his persona. He's affable, witty, romantic, yet there's a shadow behind the eyes, a note of something sly and dangerous. Is Johnny just a broke playboy or a full-blown murderer? Fontaine's Lena doesn't know, and neither do you. Hitchcock keeps the truth twisting right up to the last frame. The famous glowing glass of milk scene is pure cinematic legend, turning a late-night snack into a nerve-shredding moment. Grant walks a razor's edge. Is he innocent or hiding something dark? It's a rare chance to see him play against type, and he does it with an ambiguity that'll leave you second-guessing yourself. Suspicion isn't just a suspense classic. It's a meditation on trust, love, and the terrifying possibility that the person closest to you is a total stranger. Grant is at his most magnetic and mysterious, and Hitchcock makes sure you never get too comfortable. After watching, you'll never look at a charming grin quite the same way. Gungadin in 1939. Adventure movies don't get much more sweeping than Gungadin. Set in colonial India with all the wild 1930s Hollywood trappings, this action-packed epic sees Cary Grant as Cutter, a rough-and-tumble British soldier always in over his head, but always ready for the next brawl, bungle, or bravado-fueled rescue. Grant is joined by Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Victor McLaglen, and the three make for an oddball, quarrelsome, and deeply loyal trio. The film is a wild blend of humor, daring-do, and old-school spectacle, with raucous battle scenes and exotic locales that defined the era's blockbuster spirit. Cutter's friendship with the water-bearer Gungadin gives the movie its heart, and Grant's knack for switching from slapstick to sincerity is on full display. Of course, some of the colonial attitudes have aged poorly, but as pure action comedy, Gungadin is a time capsule of what made movie-going thrilling in its day. Grant's energy is infectious, whether he's swinging from rooftops, cracking wise, or leading a cavalry charge with a wink. Watch it to see Grant in a different gear. Messier, scrappier, but still stealing every scene. It's proof that even before he became Hollywood's suavest star, he could command any adventure with style. Holiday 1938. Is life about money or meaning? Holiday dares to ask, and then invites you to the most emotionally charged party of the 1930s. Cary Grant is Johnny Case, a self-made man who wants to quit the rat race and see the world before settling down. His fiancée Julia is rich and tradition-bound. Her sister Linda, played by Katharine Hepburn, luminous as ever, is a free spirit who sees a kindred soul in Johnny. This isn't just a love triangle, it's a philosophical showdown. Grant plays Johnny with sincerity and sparkle, torn between comfort and courage. The scenes where he and Hepburn's Linda escape to a private playroom above the stifling family mansion are some of the most joyful, honest moments in classic Hollywood. What sets Holiday apart is its subversive optimism. In an age obsessed with money, Grant's Johnny wants something more. A life that matters, not just a life that looks good. Hepburn and Grant's chemistry is, no surprise, explosive, all-knowing glances and shared laughter. Director George Cukor keeps things breezy, but the movie's questions hit deep. Grant shines in a role that's as much about self-discovery as it is about romance. By the final scene, you're not just rooting for love, you're rooting for a chance to live fully, on your own terms. So, did Cary Grant just invent modern charisma, or did he simply make everyone else look like amateurs by comparison? Either way, those 15 films prove he wasn't just a star, he was the event. Which one blew your mind, or made you see him in a new light? Drop your favorite Cary Grant moment in the comments. Smash that like button if you discovered something new, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hollywood deep dives. Because in a world of copycats, Cary Grant remains the original.